So I'd like to kind of get a sense of who's in the audience here. If you represent real estate, you own real estate, could you raise your hand? Okay, a lot. If you're a consultant here hustling, trying to get the real estate guy to give you money, raise your hand. Okay, we got a couple of them, cool. All right, wonderful. All right, hustlers, we can talk later. Okay, sound good? So one more time, raise your hand if you just watched the previous presentation. Okay, we've got a handful of people, so a couple things are going to be repetitive, but I'm going to expand on it in ways that you didn't get before. So we're going to talk about right out of the gate, Pokemon Go. This is a property right. Again, for those of you who just heard that, we're going to repeat it here. Digital rights is a fourth property right. This is the single biggest news story in real estate since the 1300s. We've had three property rights: air rights, land rights, mineral rights, and now there's a new right, digital rights. That is a big deal. And as we walk through these things, the way I'm going to talk to you guys about it is for things to think about. You're going to come through the journey that I went through and understanding this. Now, my background is in Hollywood. I produced movies for Disney, A24. I've created maybe 24 TV series. I have 5 Emmys. I produced the Golden Globe Awards, the Olympic Games. I produced the Super Bowl for the first time in virtual reality, a long list of stuff in Hollywood. And so when I look at this as an IP guy and as a movie guy and as just a business guy, I see a crime. And so let's just imagine that this is your supermarket. Okay, who wants to be the supermarket owner? Not you. Who is it? You're in front. You're the supermarket. What's your name? David's the supermarket owner. Let's play this out, a little role play here, right? I'm in Hollywood, I'm gonna direct you. You ready? Okay, so you own the supermarket, it's a family business, 3 generations, you're proud of it, right? 4 generations, I apologize. 4th generation, you come in early, you're the first guy sweeping, and you come in today, and forget the Pokemon. You find me, and I got 100 people, and I'm shooting a movie, all right? Do you come over to me? And you probably would say something to the effect of, the police are on their way. Who are you? That sound about right? Sounds about right. Okay, let's remove me from this story. Let's make it a T-Mobile stand and a guy, and he's selling phones. Same thing. Police are on the way. Who are you? Right? And that's because those are businesses, right? There's never been a scenario in the history of time where I could walk onto David's privately owned business, set up my commercial business, and not tell him, and it's legal. Everybody agree with that? So why is this allowed? Because this is a pop-up. It's the same as the T-Mobile stand, right? This is a problem. And as you listen to Meta, who spent $100 billion to get us into the XR space, this is what's coming. But let's try and really analyze what the issue is beyond the nuisance and the tortious business interference and all that crap. Let's try and really understand what the big problem is here. This is an insurance issue. That's what I saw, was insurance. Because if I'm shooting a movie at your property, I got to come with an insurance certificate. There's a process. Neil Mandt's coming in to shoot a movie. We'll come on over. We're going to walk around. Here's a site visit. This is a safe area for you to do it. This is where I put my equipment, the who, what, where, when, why, how, and here's the liability policy. This guy brought no liability policy. This is a problem, right? So that's what I looked at, because this guy's insured for supermarket activity, not for video game play. And when the damages happen through Pokemon, the insurance companies, they're like, I don't know who this guy is. That's not happening. So then we saw this in 2019, and this is an activation on a building. And so this is Snapchat. You'd point your phone. You can see people walking by at the bottom. You see the HBO logo at the top. This is an advertisement. Any way you slice this, says the logos. It's got the brand identifier. It's an advertisement, right? Am I allowed to go? What's your name? Milo, can I come on your building in the middle of the night and put a giant billboard? No. Why? It's your building, and it's illegal. Did you know that your buildings have a copyright? They do. There's a law called the U.S. Copyright Works Act of 1990. All buildings have a copyright. And so books, movies, TV shows, songs, they're protected. Why wouldn't the building protect it from false advertisement? Well, there are other laws. Some of the lawyers in the room, we can talk later. But it's not just copyright. This building has a trademark, rights of publicity, tortious business interference. This is not legal in any way, shape, or form. But yet we're starting to see this happen. So I looked at that, I was like, all right, we have 2 different kinds of violation. We have someone entering the property physically, and then you have someone who wants to use the brand identity for their own commercial purposes. Remember, this is not Free speech, this is commercial. So this is what the big companies think about your buildings. This is a condom augmentedly being added to the national landmark in Buenos Aires. Who wants a condom on their building? Anybody? I don't see a show of hands for that one. It could be much worse. You know, when I show this to people, they always they laugh and they think it's funny. And I'm like, that's not funny. That's something that could be very negative. Imagine the future where you're wearing glasses and you have a medical facility and there's a giant, not a dragon, but there's a guy in a lab coat and a stethoscope and he's like, hey, buy my drug. And then you get sick and die. Your friends may not go to the hospital immediately. Your brand could be killed the very same day. So this is our sizzle reel. Can we get audio playing back there? I haven't heard it play on any of this. Do you think you have it for this one? Let's give it a try. So this talks about our business.
People gather in physical places, stadiums, campuses, shopping centers, city spaces, commercial buildings. These places have always held value. But now real estate can generate revenue beyond its traditional use with Digital Rights Network. Digital Rights Network adds a digital layer to physical space that already exists, using mobile phones and tablets people already have, creating immersive licensed 3D experiences people want, while generating new revenue for cities, real estate owners, content creators, and performers. A pregame or halftime break becomes a monetized augmented reality concert. A shopping center becomes a programmed destination for animated content and interactive experiences. A city activates parks and public spaces with licensed games and live events. This isn't theoretical, it's already happening. We are collaborating with partners that include BXP, TD Garden Arena, Regal Cinemas, Treasure Island Casino, and the City of Chicago. For property owners and cities, joining Digital Rights Network is free. They are always in control and decide which monetization opportunities and content experiences are best for them. Creators and performers generate revenue too. Their work is placed directly into real-world locations. Their audience is already there with phones out, and the attention is focused. Creators earn through clear licensing and monetization while keeping control over how and where their content appears. Each activation is structured. Each experience is licensed, and the system is built to repeat at scale across venues, cities, and locations around the world. Whether a city, real estate owner, content creator, or performer, everyone gets paid, everyone stays in control. Everyone wins with Digital Rights Network, where real places become revenue-generating experiences.
So that seems big and maybe a little soft as I look at it. It's like, there's a lot to learn in this. So let's just kind of try and break it down step by step. And again, we're here today to talk about money, how the property owner can make money. And I'm not talking about in 5 years. I'm talking about this year or next year. That's why you're sitting in here, is to learn how to make money. So let's break down what we think about the network. So first, I want to build on what Steve and Karen talked about in the last session, which is about ownership of the rights. We just talked about an insurance issue, how Pokemon Go creates an insurance issue. And the dragon that we saw on the top of the building, someone was recording that through their phone. And so while there were damages and deaths from Pokemon, that easily could have resulted in someone's death, being standing in the middle of the street holding that phone because they're not paying attention. Who remembers the scene in Back to the Future 2 where Marty's walking down the street and the shark comes off the building from the movie theater? Anybody remember that scene? Right? For those of you who are Gen Z that don't know that scene, you have to watch that movie. Okay? And I just met someone who hadn't seen Back to the Future, so you have to watch that to start with. So when you think about the Back to the Future scene, the shark comes off the building, Marty's walking by the building and it recognizes him and it tosses him that piece of content. In this future, when we're wearing glasses, right? And again, come with me to the future and just think this is an extension of the existing internet, meaning we all see personalized things, right? And so that shark, if all of us were walking by the building, maybe I may be the only one that sees that shark. Now let's go back to our insurance discussion with the Pokemon in the supermarket. When we get insurance, you can't have a claim and then go and file for insurance and say, hey, I had an accident. Can I please have the insurance and would you pay for it? That's not how it works. You have to file for an insurance in advance. So you own some real estate, you go to the insurance company like, I'm opening my supermarket, right? And I'm in the supermarket business. And they say, all right, well, here's the risk with supermarket activity, your neighborhood, whatever it is. And they say, here's your liability insurance. Here's what the cost of it is, right? In the case of the shark in Back to the Future, you can't predict that people are going to walk by that building. And so you need a system that first you could have the ownership recorded and then it could sell the insurance policy for just Neil is walking by. Now that you're like, I'm not in the insurance business, but you recognize you can't have an operational business without insurance. So the system would have to solve that problem which it does. Now, let's say I own my building, right? And I'm going to sell it to David here. And we come up with the price, it's $10 million. I say, by the way, David, I'm going to keep the digital rights in the sale. And he's going to be like, what is that? I do this whole presentation. I'm like, I think your building could be worth a fortune. That's why I want the rights. And he would say, Neil, you're insane. I'm paying you $10 million this building. It's mine. And I would politely pull out our little contract and I'd be like, look here. It talks about appraisal. It talks about rent. It doesn't mention anything about digital rights and what that revenue could be. But it sounds like you've just assigned value to this thing that you never even heard of. So let's figure out what it could be worth, and you can write me a check right now. So as a property owner, do you wish this away? Do you hope the insurance fixes itself? Do you say, I don't want to know about these rights in case of a purchase and sale? That wouldn't be a great idea, right? This is something you could make money off of. And again, we think about that scene with the Back to the Future shark. There's multiple players who get sued. The movie studio that brings the shark to the street, the movie theater that brings the shark to the street, and unfortunately, the guy that owns the building who could be completely unaware that his tenant is now augmenting into the street, scaring people, causing accidents. So now as a landlord, do we just say, well, I'm going to wish it away on this one? Or do we send a note to the tenant and say, listen, by the way, we negotiated your signage, and there's nothing that says that the Starbucks sign can augment into the street. So that requires insurance and additional approval. So there's a lot of information of reasons why you would want to have this. So when I sell that building to David, how do I give you the rights? You know, I can't just go, and he grabs them. That can't happen. So you can't go to the city hall. You can't write it on the deed and say, add it on there, digital land right, mineral rights. You know, you can't do that. And so you would need the system that would allow that to happen. So you need something where you can own it, so you could transfer it, own it so you could monetize it, and own it so you could insure it. Because I can't get an insurance policy on David's house and then go burn his house down and then collect the insurance. You have to prove that you were the true owner of the building. So let's talk about revenue right now. So this is the system. If somebody is so we're going to stadiums and arenas and cities, and we have 17 cities, and we're going to start bringing them this kind of content. And again, this is mobile phone. This is not glasses. So anybody like Pokemon, you would open an app. So let's just say for fun, this is Instagram. You're at a live event and you see something like this happen.
Imagine a concert with no stage. You lift your phone and the artist appears right in front of you, performing live in full 3D. This is the next generation of entertainment powered by the Digital Rights Network, the Emmy award-winning company connecting property owners and audiences with cutting-edge 3D content experiences using volumetric augmented reality. A-list artists are captured in studio with advanced 3D scanning, every movement, every detail, then brought to life through AR. No headsets. Just open your phone and the show unfolds. In 2026, Digital Rights Network will produce more than 24 world-scale AR concerts, each featuring a global music superstar, viewable through major social platforms like Instagram, Snap, and TikTok, powering the largest shared 3D performances ever made. For sponsors, the reach is unprecedented. Brand partners are integrated directly into performances, and every share, every replay builds worldwide exposure. The Digital Rights Network, connecting owners, artists,
so we're dealing
fans,
with the
and
biggest
brands
rock
through
stars in the
storytelling
world.
a new dimension.
Pick a name. I can't tell you, but whoever it is, we're working with them right now. We're going to be making these concerts this year. They will be distributed to festivals, fairs, events, arenas. They'll be mostly opening shows. So think before a football game, maybe a half hour before, because they're 15-minute shows, 4 songs. So the property owner doesn't pay for this. All they have to do is go on the Digital Rights Network and register and say, I want that. And then it gets distributed to their location. Anyone who opens their phone, boom, there's a dollar value for the property owner. A percentage of that revenue goes to the property owner. All of the data goes to the property owner. Okay, so some of you may have an outdoor space or a big space. You're like, I want a concert. Who's got something in the retail space? Anyone got retail? This is what you're going to get. Now, I've talked to the biggest IP owners in the world for this. You could imagine the brands.
Saturday morning used to mean something. It was an event, a reason to gather. And now Digital Rights Network is bringing that back. Digital Rights Network is launching a first-of-its-kind augmented reality programming block inside malls and shopping centers globally. Every Saturday, the center of the mall becomes the stage. A 2-hour block of live, immersive AR experiences, 15 minutes at a time, built around the world's most beloved characters. Children and families will gather in the central space, phones and tablets already in hand, as the characters they love come to life right in front of them. This is not a screen. This is not a kiosk. This is spatial entertainment. interactive and designed to keep audiences coming back every single week. For IP owners, this is a new revenue channel built around characters you already own. Your characters are placed directly into physical locations where your audience already is, with built-in e-commerce, fan club integration, and collectible mechanics that deepen engagement. For mall owners, it's even simpler. This is free to opt in. Digital Rights Network brings the programming, the technology, and the audience. You provide the space. In return, foot traffic increases, dwell time increases, and your property becomes the only place families can experience this. And showing up turns viewers into customers. And the experience doesn't stop at center stage. A second space inside the mall becomes something entirely new. An AR game zone, no machines, no build out, no maintenance costs, just phones, tablets, and the world's most engaging games running inside your property. Minecraft, dress to impress, titles families already love, activated in physical space. Real estate is increasingly in the experience business. This is the
Okay, so that's the system that'll be distributed. So this is our system, the Digital Rights Network. It looks just like Zillow. So if you're afraid of Zillow, if you're afraid of LoopNet, then you can be afraid of us. But if you're not, you shouldn't be. It's got the basic information that is already on the internet that you would already have on your website. All we do is make you discoverable. And the thing that's key right here, above the little unique ID, is the blockchain ID. That is the digital deed. That is the only place that it can exist in the whole world. There's no other place. And so you register at no cost. And so everybody here should register every asset they have. There's no reason not to. You can cancel anytime. You could be on other people's platforms. This is your only opportunity to make money right now. And as you register, we would then start listing the content. And then people, you may say, well, none of this content is appropriate for me, or I want it there. But what's going to happen, like on Zillow, when someone goes and buys a building, they're going to be able to use the AI in here and say, I want to find eyeballs. I want to find, 1,000 or 10,000 16-year-old kids for my popcorn movie. And then it would just find them. And that could be at your property, because we're all going to be seeing individualized media when this happens. So you would want to be discovered here. So whether it's for an insurance purpose, whether it's for a recording, whether it's for a transfer of ownership, whether it's for monetization, there's no cost, and you're going to start getting opportunities in this year. And I will stop talking there and see if there's a question or two before we're completely out of time. And I'm thanking everybody for coming in advance.
I'm sorry, I see a question here.
This is my same question from Steve's section.
Yes.
If I want my building to have nothing on it,
Yeah.
if I register here, can I opt out of having,
Yeah, of course. This is the control mechanism. Remember, people always say, who's the policeman on this? The insurance companies. They are never going to let Facebook or Instagram or whatever just sell your building with media and not have it insured. And it can't be insured if the owner isn't in on it. So ultimately, this is going to kind of work itself out pretty soon, which is why you should start to get ahead of it, start to plan, and start to monetize as quickly as possible. But no, you'll have full control. This is a control system. When you can go, Your Honor, I was listed here, I was easy to find, and this guy went around me. That's kind of a tough story in front of a jury. Yes.
Obviously, this plays more towards landmarks and shopping centers and that the like. Do multifamily buildings have any part in this?
Do you have people in your multifamily buildings?
Of course.
Okay. Can there be a tenant in that building that could augment something from the 15th floor selling the underpants off of Etsy? Okay, well, there's a problem you have, okay? Is there a Procter & Gamble product that would like to sell to your clients? Do any of your clients in your multifamily have Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat? Sounds like there's an organic fit right now, okay? It seems obvious on high rises, but it is where people are. So if you have people, you're worth money. Again, this content is dazzling and exciting, and it may not make sense to for your property, but trust me, I can help you make money. Promise you.
All right, our last question here.
And we have a booth, by the way. You can come out and see us, and there's a couple of people with me in the Digital Rights Network booth. I'd love to see anybody there. Yes.
So with the licensing of the AR experiences that you have, that you said that you're working with a bunch of talent, are you working directly with like CA, UTA?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're working with those.
Yeah.
So my other question is with that, are you paying a licensing fee to the artist directly, or to you, or to both? Because
Yeah.
I understood the split that the revenue is generated for the landlord, but how does that work for the landlord accessing that to get it from the talent?
Yeah, so again, it's all recorded on the blockchain, so the tracking is there. The talent opts in, and they're basically what they're doing is they're giving away their AI recreation rights for their song. It's just a performance. And so the song actually is cleared by the venues. We don't actually even clear the song. We're just getting permission. So like we're dealing with like dead people like Bob Marley and Dean Martin and other people. So they're coming back and they're able to tour now. And then the contracts are written on the blockchain and the payments happen organically from the blockchain. Well, I'm around. We have a booth. Happy to talk. Steve and Karen are close friends. They're collaborating with us, so they can certainly answer any questions. Thank you for having me.